Green light means go. Man, I'm glad I didn't change it yesterday on my risk radar. As I mentioned, I wanted to see how we fared on the ISM services, a very crucial piece of economic information. I think that we saw today that good can be good, especially when you've got inflation lingering. You need the economy to keep pumping in the parts that matter. That's what we saw from the ISM services today, getting back above 50. That combined with, of course, another big Nvidia run is why we put in some new records. So I do think the message I communicated yesterday actually still rings true, which is that the market needs more than just Nvidia for a few reasons. One is that we've now transcended Nvidia's rally into something different than it was earlier this year. The most important thing to understand about Nvidia's rally here in 2024 has been that much of it was very, very reasonable and still is because of the extraordinary growth that they have already earned and are projecting. But in these last couple weeks, it's changed. We are now frothing up. If you look at the valuation, I pulled up the forward PE from the Bloomberg on Nvidia's valuation. 42 is still below where it actually was in the past couple of years, and not that unreasonable compared to other stuff in tech and growth categories. But note the quick upside vertical move that we've had compared to where we were earlier this year. See, as Nvidia was rallying in the first quarter, the valuation was actually quite stable. But something here has changed a little bit, and that's why I think the market needs to continue to see good economic data, or at least the Goldilocks style of data, so that we can have Nvidia and our cake too. Nvidia is in a little bit of a different realm than it was a couple months ago. Keep in mind, what we saw from the last earnings was that the sales, extraordinarily high as they are, 250% plus, did peak out. And so the valuation here is climbing a lot faster than it was before. That changes the nature of the trade. Nvidia is still a beast, though, and we've seen that it can keep going up while the market does its own thing. Yesterday, I talked about how the correlation between the S&P and Nvidia actually went negative. Obviously, today it reconnected again. Nvidia helps. It's the backbone. But I think we're also needing economic data to fall into place like it did today. With prices paid still elevated at ISM, you need to have the activity and the growth there. So to see the expansion of the services economy is still crucial. Tomorrow we'll get the update from JOLTS, then we get the NFP. Watching bonds and their role they're playing in this will still be important, of course, where generally investors have liked yields lower overall the last couple of years, but we need now to continue to see relief that yields lower aren't telling us about a negative growth implication. That's where the data over the next couple of days still could potentially move the market. Jobless claims, probably not as much of a big impact tomorrow, but you never know if there's any shock factor. The way I'm thinking about this still is that stocks don't want dramatic moves in either direction for the yield. The 10-year, which did just cut below last month's low with some pretty serious downside in yield, looks like it might be starting a downtrend. We want to know if this is a downtrend for good reasons, which would be disinflation, not a rolling over, a breakdown in the economy. So that's very important. The other thing that I'm kind of thinking about, the back of my mind still, is that on a super high risk on day, Bitcoin was a little bit sleepy. As I mentioned on the chart at the top of the show, it looks like it's ready to blast off. No matter what you think about its utility, or whatever my view might be on the fundamentals, the technicals are that Bitcoin already got through a big chunk of its volume profile that could have been resistance but wasn't. And you've got the RSI back above 50. There's a lot of reasons why Bitcoin could be taken off to signal a big animal spirits type move, which is what I was wondering would happen after Nvidia's earnings, but it hasn't kicked in. So a few more things to watch this week. I'll see you tomorrow.